Good luck, everybody. I'd like to record now a recreation of a radical 10-minute Shabbos Shuva Drasha that I gave in the place I'm proud to call my community and my Makom Kavul Tvila, Kehillas Bais Berish, Benesias Harav Berish Fuchs Shlita. And let these words that I'm recording now be Lili Nishmas, my father, David ben Achavar Yosef Dov, Zechron Livracha, Zeshama Shav Aliyah, from the schus of these Divrei Torah that I'm sharing, and the schus of Kolshken, if it's being provides hope and impetus for anyone to do tshuva. The Rambam writes in Parak Bais of Hilchos Tshuva Bais, he's describing what is tshuva. Umaya tshuva, what is tshuva? The sinner has to just let go of the sin. And take it out of his mind. Vigmor believer says he has to be committed to not do it again. Shenemar Yazov Rasha Darko, the evildoer just lets go of his path of evilness. Regret that he ever transgressed. For after I've repented, I regret what I've done. And the Ram goes on to say, and it will testify upon him, he who knows all that is hidden. He's never going to go back to this sin again. As it says, we will not call God to any of handiworks that we produce with our own hands, i.e. idols. So the obvious scary thing over here is that seemingly at surface level, the Rambam is saying God himself should testify that this will never happen again. Right? That's what it is seemingly being said. Which the obvious question is, who could ever guarantee such a thing? The Yetzer Hara doesn't go away. Your free will doesn't go away. And the Lechem Mishnah further points out, and God himself testifying, well, it's a little bit hard to understand what the Rambam means by that, right? That the Rambam writes in chapter 5 of Hilchos Tshuva, the very last halacha, that God's knowledge of the future does not negate free will. So even though God knows with 0 percentile of error exactly what's going to happen, you still have free will to do it or not. So even God testifying for you is not going to negate your free will, right? As it were. And it's just difficult what the Rambam wants with that after the Rambam went out of his way later in Hilchos Tshuva to tell you that God's knowledge of the future does not take away free will. Right. So there's two conventional pshatim said to this with this premise that the commitment, it'll never happen again. The two conventional pshatim are the more common one that I've seen is that it's actually alluding to a idea that the psikta on the Haftarah of Shabbos Shuva says, Shuva Yisrael ad Hashem Elokecha, return Yisrael onto Hashem, because we did it ad as an onto as aid, aid Hashem Elokecha, that take God as your witness, meaning to say, as the psikta explains, Am Yisrael says to Ribono Shel Olam, who's going to testify for us, in the face of all the mekatragim, right? That we've changed, we've turned over a new leaf. We're not sinners anymore. Who's going to testify? Hashem says, I'll testify for you. So they want to propose that the Rambam is referring to that, right? And so to finish off what they're saying, so even though seemingly what the psikta is saying is that this is what God will do for us, it's not what I do. It's what I have to do. But so taking God as your witness, he promised to do that. Take him as your witness to concretize your commitment, like we say in a manner of saying, like, believe me, heaven is my witness, or we find this lashon in our literature, Sahadi Bamaromim, my testimony is in heaven. Comes, just short, we're not actually taking a shvua, but it comes, short. It's like really believe me. God is my witness, right? And so you should say that also, even though it's not much that way from the Rambam. But the question is, what is this phenomenon doing here? When Rambam's talking about what I have to do, is say, well, since God promised to be a witness, so actively say, God is my witness. To concretize your commitment, that is the most common thread. Which again, are you making a commitment to something that you can't really guarantee? And also another problem with it is that that's not the pasuk that the Rambam brings. The Rambam doesn't bring shuva. So eid Hashem lokecha, the way the Psikta says it could be read. He's bringing, the pasuk talking about me. We will not say ever again God to that which we've created with our own hands. What most people probably think intuitively and was very expand upon in a lengthy philosophical discourse by Rav Yaakov Chil Weinberg, the Baal Srida Eish, in a collection called Lifrakim, collection of a lot of his assorted writings. So he wants to say something based on what he saw originally from Itzla Blazer, and then he synthesized this idea from Ritzel Blazer and try to build it up philosophically from something that he learned from the philosophy of Rav Chasdai Ibn Kreskes, a Talmud of the Ran, a Chaver of the Rivash, and it's from the Sefer Or Hashem. Talk about, so of course God's foreknowledge doesn't negate free will, but that doesn't take away that something could be highly, highly improbable, right? To the point that it's unrealistic to expect such and such. It's only realistic to expect such. But what's realistic and improbable is not synonymous with that which is necessary. So something could be, 100% probability this is what's going to be, but still not inherently mukhrach, not inherently, absolutely necessary, even though it's very unrealistic to think otherwise. So it's probability luchud, right? And what's necessarily must be the outcome luchud. So it's still possible that even though you have free will, it's still highly improbable that you'll ever sin again, down to the 99, basically even 100%, because probability is not synonymous with necessity. It's a very long philosophical essay. Take a look there. And I say, that the basic premise of either school of thought is actually not what the Rambam meant at all. And the Rambam meant something totally the opposite. And instead of, giving us a high bar that's virtually impossible to reach, at least for me, right? He's actually giving you a very attainable within reach goal to attain. And just 3 diukim, right? 3 diukim. First of all, Yodelov Yodeta testify for him, Yodeta, he who knows what's hidden. Ta'aluma, Ta'aluma means what's hidden, like Lo Sukhalisam, don't look away, don't hide, right? He who knows what's hidden. We're not talking about the future. We're not talking Yodea Hasidos, he who knows what's going to happen. He who knows what's hidden, which was probably talking about present tense, what's hidden. And what? Shelo yashuf l'zeh chelom, he's not going to go back to this sin forever. What? Shelo yechta'od, right? Lo yash, he doesn't listen to her. He shouldn't go back to this sin. What was that? And then from the pasuk itself that the Ram brings, Lo ne'omar od Eloheinu ma'aseh, we will not say again God to that which we created with our own hands. The word od is, superfluous. Say Lo ne'omar Eloheinu ma'aseh, we won't call God to our handiwork. Why od again? Right. So to explain the point that I want to bring out, to illustrate what I mean, we'll bring an example to the opposite extreme, an extreme in the evil, as opposed to what the Ram saying is what you have to do for the good, right? But an example for the evil, God forbid, which is the converse, or the inverse of what we're talking about over here. Of our vera Shonaba Nasoket. The Gemara in its final version, a few places shot says, you do an Avera and you double it over. Now it's like permissible in your eyes. You're so entrenched in it. You're not even going to see it as bad anymore, right? So now, what does the Gemara mean? Right? I mean, God forbid. I mean, if you miss Sofsman Kriya Shema once, and then a year later you miss it again, right? Are you never? That's it. You're not going to forget about Sofsman Kriya Shema. Is going to be like nothing to you. It's like nothing wrong with it, right? Or God forbid anything. I mean, hopefully no one ever experienced doing something wrong, 2 times, right? But it's how it really means. But the truth is, the diuk is in the word v'shonaba. The word v'shonaba, not chata v'chata, right? But v'shonaba. Shonaba means literally he doubled down on it. He doubled it. He reinforced it. Like we say, doubling down. And that's what shona means. Lashon sheni, to double it. Right? Or like in another context, vishinantam, so you chazer so much, you divrei Torah mechudadim b'ficha. He chazered it over, he doubled down on it. If you do an avera like, this is kishmak, I got to do it one more time. So if you do it with that with that approach of, kishmak, one more time. All right, so you're doubling down. When you do it that way, chas v'shalom, you could get so entrenched in it when you double it down on it, right, that they become entrenched. But if you did an Avera once and you feel bad about it, right, and then it happens again, but when it happens again, it wasn't an act of doubling down, like, I was just waiting for this opportunity to do it again, then of course the 2 sins are not going to reinforce each other and cause you to be entrenched in sin, right? It's the second time is not a doubling down on the first time because there was genuine regret between the 2. That's what the Rambam's saying you need for tshuva. Just genuine regret on what happened. So if it ever happens again, it's not called a continuation. And you should be sincere. So when you say Ashamnu, it shouldn't be that you say, and Ashamnu was awesome, I can't wait to do it again. But Gadonu was a blast, I can't wait to do it again. Gazalnu was great, I can't wait to do it again. If anyone needs the whole nusach, I'll send it to them, right? God forbid, right? I'm kidding, right? It should be that everyone says sorry. You do something wrong, everyone says sorry. Society expects it from us, to say sorry, apologize, right? Question, what's in your heart? You say like Ashamnu, and I can't wait to do it again, but Gadu, and I can't wait to do it again, or Ashamnu, and I'm really sorry about it. So if it ever happens again, it's not a continuation. But God, I'm really sorry about it. So if it ever happens again, it's not connected to what I just did, right? Which I truly regret, and I'm putting it in my past. So God knows what's hidden in your heart. So now listen to every word of Rambam rings so beautiful, right? Right? And he who knows what's hidden in your heart, because everyone says sorry, right? But he knows what's hidden in your heart. You're not going to ever go back to it. Meaning you really put it behind you. You're not going back to it. It may happen again, but not as a doubling down of it. You really regret ever having done this particular action. So this particular action is in your past. And you were sincere about that regret. God will testify that in your heart, hidden in your heart was, genuine regret that you are not going back to it. You're not going back to it. You're not going to double down on it. So you're not going back ever. You're not going to ever double down on it. Shenem, when it says V'lo Ne'amar Od Eloheinu Ma'aseh Yadenu, right? We're not going to say, again, God to our handiwork. So that's all the Rambam was saying is just the opposite of what was thought throughout the generations, right? Just regret it sincerely enough that if it ever happens again, it's not a continuation. It will be like a new incident, God forbid, not related to the old incident. That's what the Rambam is saying the Rebbe Shem wants from us, which is fully attainable. We should do tshuva shleima, right? And we should be zocher to a gemar chasim matayva. And all the words that I said now should be lui nishmas avi Moiri David ben Achav Yosef Dov Zichron L'Bracha.